What's up, guys, and welcome to a special edition of Q&A. This is kind of an experiment. I want to do a Q&A for the post game for every game and a Q&A for a preview of every game on top of my usual coverage, just to make sure you guys can have your voices heard on both subjects and both aspects of the game. So let me know if this is something you'd be interested in seeing more of as the season goes on, or if this is something that you don't like. Let me know in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's jump into these questions. And the questions start from Corey Clayton, who says, hey, Quincy, do you think the Browns defense will be able to stop the passing game of the Cowboys? No. Shortly, no. I'll have a more detailed reason on why that is a no later on this week once I get all my research done about the Cowboys and how the Browns match up with them. But probably going to be a no, more than likely going to be a no, definitely starting to look like a no. On that front. The next question comes from Dozier, who says, I know you think it's the communication in the secondary that's causing the problem, but with the way Sendejo is playing, it's almost about as bad as when it comes to Tavierre Thomas. Do you think that maybe it's time to give Sheldrick Redwine a shot at safety? Just have not seen much out of Ronnie Harrison either. Yeah, whenever Ronnie Harrison's been out there, he's not been good. So I don't think you're going to see more of him, especially at free safety. That's not who he is. He would be in there to replace Carl Joseph, and Carl Joseph has not been the problem in coverage or in run defense. Andy Sendejo is going to get a bad rap because visually all you see is Andrew Sendejo chasing after a guy or Andrew Sendejo looking like he's getting burnt. But the reason you're always seeing Andrew Sendejo chasing after somebody after a big play is because the corners aren't doing their job most of the time. Sometimes it is Andy's fault. Andy has not played well by any stretch of the imagination. But is he as bad as it looks visually? Most of the time it's not. It's because people are blowing coverages or not being where they're supposed to be, which leads to Andy Sendejo having to clean up on all of that, and he's not a cleaner. He's not Earl Thomas out there, and this system isn't really fit for an Earl Thomas, so you can't just go and sign Earl Thomas. So he's not going to erase these mistakes. So yeah, does Andrew Sendejo need to play better? Yes. Is taking him off the field the solution? I really don't think so, because this team has enough first and second year players on it. You need more veterans, quite frankly. Like, if people aren't in their right spots, bringing on more young players is not going to fix the thing. Look at the Baltimore Ravens defense last year when they had all those young guys out there. They were having all these issues with communications. They couldn't get it right. They had to move the green dot multiple times, had the same issues, and then they signed some veterans off the street to fill these starting roles, and then boom, their problems went away. Communication is not going to be fixed by first and second or third year players like Sheldrick Redwine or guys with little to none experience when it comes to starting in the NFL like Sheldrick. So no, I don't think he's going to fix it. I think you need to keep the veterans out there. I think you need to find a way to add more veterans to this rotation, because the communication is why Andrew Sendejo is always chasing after things, is why he looks so bad, is why this team can't make any plays in the passing game. And when they do, it's because they got it together. So the communication is key with this secondary. It's not the personnel. All those things are going to look a lot better once these DBs start getting in the right spot. But until that happens, it's always going to be Andrew Sendejo chasing after somebody, because they're putting Andrew Sendejo in the worst spot possible. And obviously, he's not a good enough player to overcome that, but you didn't sign him to be that. Next question comes from Elijah Cable, who says, why did we pound Chubb and Hunt into the trenches straight into a great D-line of Washington through the A and B gaps when we were getting yards and carrying outside through the C gaps? Why didn't Stefanski exploit that more? So what he's saying is that the Browns tried to pound Washington inside rather than try to get the edge outside. A couple reasons why they did that. One, they did do that after Chase Young and Matt left the field and left the game. They did, because it was there. But whenever they did get the edge, they had to do something special to get it, because Montez Sweat was an absolute game breaker on that side of the ball when it came to the outside run. And to be fair, Montez Sweat has been that for the entire season so far for the Washington football team. So I don't blame them for going outside. I don't blame them for testing the inside of this defensive line, because that's where the numbers told you can get at on this Washington team. And I think if they would have kept pounding it, it would have softened up a little bit and it would have opened up. But those things just did not happen, I don't mind that. And when it wasn't working, they also made the adjustment. So I think that's fine, for the Browns to try to go inside against Washington. That's where the numbers were going to tell you was going to be open. And when that wasn't true, when they lost some guys on the edge, you attacked it. That's fine. The next question comes from Harold Hairston, who says, "Love what you do." 3 exclamation points. So shout out to you. While I see progress on the defense, what can Joe Woods do to help his defense? More man coverage or just dumb down more things, just axing? Yeah, I mean, man would have helped you against Washington. It's not going to help you against a team like Dallas. So what the Browns need to do is honestly just practice more and hope that it clicks eventually. Maybe add some veterans, maybe play more veterans. But other than that, I don't really know what he can do as a coach. It's about execution. Again, when they're in the right spots, the secondary makes the plays. They get the interceptions. They make the stops. They get the stops on third down. They get off the field. They make the plays. The pass rush gets home when they're in position. But when they're not, that's where all the problems start. And you can't necessarily just fix that by swapping players in and out and bringing new guys in, or like trying to do a new thing, or even just by simply switching to man, because your personnel is built out for zone. So for Joe Woods, the best option is just to hope that they get it eventually, hope that they get this communication thing down. The longer time goes from these two moments, the more and more consequential it looks like it was for this defense. Grant Delpit's injury and Mack Wilson not being able to practice for the entire padded portion of training camp was hugely important and a huge setback for this defense, because Mack Wilson probably should be doing the role that B.J. Goodson is. And I'm not saying B.J. Goodson is playing bad, but Mack Wilson's a little bit more versatile. And then if you have Mack Wilson out there with B.J. Goodson, you have pretty solid linebacker play with a better coverage linebacker who's out there every play. You have a better green dot. And then if you had Grant Delpit out there, you would have more versatility and more of an ability to man up if you needed to man up more, because Grant Delpit can go one-on-one with a tight end right now, and he can keep up with them and make plays on them. But that's not the situation you're in. Grant Delpit's out for the year. You're just now getting Mack Wilson back. It's going to be weeks upon weeks before this secondary has a game where they look solid, in my opinion. Now, it could come out on Sunday and they could look fire, but I doubt it. I think if the 10 days between Thursday and Sunday didn't show much change, I don't know if the 6 days between Sunday and Sunday are going to show much change in that area. So it's going to be a weekly thing. It's going to be incremental progression each week until they get to the point to where they should have started at the beginning of the season. Next question is from Gabe Greenlee, who says, "What's good, Q? My question is, what has been the most surprising player on offense, in your opinion, either in a good or bad way?" Wyatt Teller, because this is somebody people were like, hey, should you bring in a guard? Should we go for Earl Watson? Should we do something with the guard position? Is Wyatt Teller enough? Because he wasn't that great last year. You traded a 5th-round pick for him. Was this a mistake? And he has come out here and quite literally been one of the best 5 offensive guards in football. Who would have thought? So, yeah, got to give it to Wyatt Teller. He's been fine out there. And, he was somebody who I thought you wouldn't have to worry about, because he would be propped up by Jack Conklin and J.C. Treader, 2 good linemen there. But he has actually been good on his own, Wyatt Teller. I think he's just found his fit in the NFL. He is a zone blocking guard. That is what he does well in the NFL, because he is very good at it through 3 games. So Wyatt Teller, biggest surprise on offense. I think he deserves a lot of credit and a lot of recognition. Next question comes from Big Dog 9802, who says, "Hey Quincy, first time, long time. I know our run-heavy offense is the right move, but do you feel like the big-name receivers will go old with this system? Landry, OBJ, Hooper. This is a lot of talent to just have as blockers. They may say they're okay with it, but are they? Not to mention, Baker may not want to be this kind of QB, even though it is his best fit. Yeah, well, for Baker Mayfield, too bad, too sad. If this is not the kind of quarterback you want to be for the first 5 years of your career, well, tough. That's tough. You're going to have to develop into a better quarterback if this is what you don't want your fit to be, quite frankly. But for Landry, Odell, and Jarvis, you do bring up a good point, because that's a lot of talent, top-level talent, that isn't going to be used at a top-level way. Now, for Austin Hooper, he knew what this roster looked like when he signed here, so I assume he's fine with it. And there are going to be a lot of games, a lot of matchups, and this Sunday might be one of them where Austin Hooper is going to get the ball a ton if he can stay on the field. So for Austin Hooper, he's going to get his targets here and there. He's going to be able to do what he has to do, and blocking is actually a huge part of why they signed Austin Hooper to this team. Landry and Odell, that's a different story, because those are guys who came here to get the ball, or were traded here to get the ball, and now they're in a position where they're not going to get the ball as much. Now, will Odell put up crazy numbers? Will Jarvis put up crazy numbers? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. But they're going to have their games. They're going to have their moments, and they're going to be used in specific ways. Again, the biggest thing about having a ton of talent isn't that you can use them every game. Is that each game you can highlight or spotlight one or two of them to exploit a matchup against a defense. So one week it might be Hunt and Chubb, Hunt and Chubb, Hunt and Chubb. It's all Hunt and Chubb. The next week, it might be Jarvis Landry, who has a very favorable matchup against his man that they're going to exploit to death and use him a lot. Or it might be Odell, or it might be Austin Hooper. The reason the Browns accumulated all this talent is so you can have all those options available to them. It's like watching a basketball team that has like 3 all-stars on it, right? One of those big 3 teams. The reason you have a big 3 is because in the playoffs, sometimes your main guy, sometimes your main scorer just can't get the ball in for whatever reason. He's having a rough night. It's not there for him. So now you got to rely and give the ball to Kyrie Irving. Or see if Kevin Love can do something in the post in order to get back in this game and to open up some things. Same thing with football. The reason you want all these stars is because there will be a game or a team that can stop Chubb and Hunt. And when somebody can stop Chubb and Hunt, you want to be able to answer back with Odell and Jarvis, because that's a powerful answer back. Odell and Jarvis might be as good as a wide receiver tandem as Chubb and Hunt when it comes to how they rank in their respective positions. So that's why you want all that talent. And that's what I have to think, all these guys being veterans, except for Chubb. And Chubb seems to be the most selfless guy out of all of the people on the entire team, so I think he's fine with it. But the reason you have all these guys is because of that mindset. Hey, Pittsburgh might be able to stop the run, but can they stop Odell? Can they stop Austin Hooper? Can they stop Jarvis? We're going to use you guys this week. We're going to need you. Cincy may be able to shut down, Jarvis and Odell. They have good corners. But can they stop Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb? Are they going to be able to do anything about that? No. Jam it down their throat. Boom. Use them like that. That's what this team is going to be all about. That's how these guys are going to get used. So they'll get their snaps. They'll get their touches, and they'll have their games where they get a star-level amount of targets. It's just about the matchups and when they should come in, and that's why it's so valuable to have all these pieces, and even more valuable if Baker Mayfield can operate at a good level in order to make those guys useful. Because again, if Baker Mayfield can operate at that level to use these guys to their, respective threat levels, then you have something dangerous that not a lot of teams can stop. Because you have to ask yourself, what defense is so good and concentrated at stopping the run that they can stop Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and one of the best run-blocking offensive lines in football, but also be so well-stacked and diverse that they can stop a Odell Beckham and a Jarvis Landry with a, at worst, decent quarterback at the helm? That's going to be a rough axe for a lot of defenses if Baker Mayfield can play to that level. So it's going to be interesting, but that's why you have that talent, because it makes you so hard to defend and so versatile. Giants Nation with the next question, who says, "What's up, Q? My question is, what should my Giants do now? People saying tank for Trevor, but do you think we should try to win?" Man, you could tell the Giants are 0-3 because Giants Nation only sent me, what, 2 sentences this week? He normally sends like 15. So, all right, Giants, man, I feel you. You feeling it. You're 0-3. It's rough out here, and it's going to be a rough season. It looks like it's going to be a rough season. I have no comfort to give you in that direction. What I will say is that when it comes to the draft, you're also in an interesting situation because I promise you, if Dave Gettleman is the GM for that pick, he will not draft Trevor Lawrence. What I hope, if that's what he's going to do, what I hope he does, and again, it's more than likely that's what Dave Gettleman's going to do if he gets this because he's not going to admit that he was wrong on Daniel Jones, especially when Dwayne Haskins ain't exactly making him look bad out there. What I hope he does is trade the pick and get a ton of picks in return because some team's going to be thirsty for Trevor Lawrence, no doubt, or Trey Lance. Some team's going to be thirsty for one of those two guys. So if he's in a position to hold one of those picks, I hope he trades because you got a lot of talent you need to fill and a lot of things that you need to do with that team. As far as trying to win this year, without Saquon Barkley, you can try to win, but it's going to be a really rough axe for this team. Saquon Barkley was the one thing keeping that offense above water. Now you're putting Daniel Jones in a really bad position, not a great offensive line. I'm not in love with the coach and what he's brought to this team at all, the wide receivers, and, you got Evan Ingram, but that's about it. It's just not enough. So you can try to win as much as you want. It ain't going to happen more than likely. So, yeah, tank for Trevor. Do what you got to do. Get in the spot you're going to be in, and then take advantage of that spot. If Dave Gettleman's going to be Dave Gettleman about this, at least get a lot in return for him being Dave Gettleman. Now, is passing up on Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance going to be a good move for Daniel Jones? That book's still out, but, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. Next question comes from Billy Odell, who says, "What's up, Quincy? Facing a more explosive offense in Dallas, do you think this will force Baker Mayfield to throw the ball more than the last 2 weeks? And if so, how do you think he will perform?" Yes and no. He will have to make more plays. I don't know if he has to throw the ball more. The Browns are still going to be able, or still should be able, to run the ball against Dallas. That shouldn't be a problem. It's just going to be upon Baker Mayfield to make more plays. This is a game where you're going to want to look for Odell Beckham more. You're going to want to look for Jarvis Landry to make some more plays. You're definitely going to want to look for your tight ends this week. So Baker Mayfield's going to be asked to make more plays. I don't know if that translates to more throws, but definitely more plays. Last week against Washington, Baker Mayfield wasn't really asked to make any plays. He made some plays, but he didn't have to. The game plan did not require it. The game plan required a big day on the ground from Chubb and Hunt. So this is the complete opposite situation for Baker Mayfield because for the Browns to win, he will have to make plays through the air. I don't know if that means he's going to have to throw more. Next question comes from Evo B, who says, "With the way Ogunjobi is playing so far, do you believe this will be his last season in Cleveland since he is in the last year of his cheap contract?" I mean, if he plays at this level, they might franchise tag him just to have him next year and give it another shot since there's nobody they're really going to have to franchise tag elsewhere on the roster. And if he plays at this level, he will have played at a level that earns that. So I think that'd be the case as far as a long-term deal for Larry Ogunjobi. Don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to probably sign somewhere else if he signs a long-term deal this summer. So, yeah, if he plays this well throughout the whole season, he's either going to get franchise tagged by Cleveland or he's going to sign a long-term deal somewhere else. All right, guys, but that's it for the post-game Q&A. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.